Hello, everybody.
You would think that it might be the first show of the season with some of the panic that we've had going on behind the
Holy moly.
scenes. Here, it is a Monday. Have we ever got a case of the Mondays? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Check-In. Looking forward over this next half hour.
We're having the Mondays on a Tuesday.
Oh, is it Tuesday?
Yeah, see?
Oh, see?
It's my fault,
Jeez.
as always.
All right.
The shot looks really close on us, doesn't it? We're like right in there for everybody to see.
Well,
Hockey Fights Cancer Night, just taking on the St. Louis Blues.
Yes. So as you can tell, before we get going with everything, JT and I wearing some of the Hockey Fights Cancer gear that is available at Winnipeg Jets gear stores. I've got the hoodie on. We were just told that these jerseys actually have been selling out very quickly. So you want to be able to get your hands on them. They look great. JT obviously committing with the toque as well. A number of different options that are available out there.
And the hoodie, nicely done.
Thanks.
You said it suited you the most, and you were absolutely correct.
All right.
I don't know how you knew that, but it worked out.
Let's talk some hockey, though. Winnipeg Jets home for one game before heading back out on the road. Their longest road trip just concluded. They're home for one game tonight. Another divisional battle. It is the St. Louis Blues here in town. And over the next 30 minutes, we will get you ready. You will hear sound from the room. There's lots to talk about today.
Finally.
I also spoke to Neal Pionk, and then really looking forward to having the Athletics' Jeremy Rutherford join us as well to give us some perspective of St. Louis, because the Blues certainly have had a lot of headline-making news recently, especially with that coaching change.
Yeah, Jim Montgomery coming in, taking over from Drew Bannister. Blues got off to a slow start. Now they have Jim Montgomery. I think he was unemployed for, 5 days, maybe, after he was released by the Boston Bruins. So that's a quick turnaround for him and his family. So Jim Montgomery, the new head coach, or not so new head coach of the St. Louis Blues. Jeremy Rutherford will go over that a little bit later in the show.
Looking forward to it. Love to see so many people in the chat already. It's great to see so many returning faces. Always looking forward to interacting with you guys as well as we get you set up for the game. We will get to the question of the day in a moment, but first,
some stuff has happened.
Yes, as we said, so often recently, it has seemed as if you and I have not had a lot to talk about. We see people in the chat going, what's the lineup supposed to be like? But there haven't been
the late
morning
starts,
skates.
No morning skates.
Yeah. Yep. So today there was one, and there's certainly a lot to talk about. Before we get to the line changes, though, let's talk a little bit about Nikolai Ehlers and Brad Lambert, because news came out at about 10:15 this morning that Nikolai Ehlers, who was injured in that game against Vegas, didn't play in Dallas, has been placed on IR, and Brad Lambert called up.
Yeah, Brad Lambert having a pretty good start, or as he said, an up and down start to the season with the Manitoba Moose. Had a great camp, had a great preseason here with Winnipeg. Really looked like he had taken a big step from the year before. The Moose had actually asked him to add some weight, some strength to allow him to be more successful as a centerman in the American Hockey League and certainly the National Hockey League level. Made his NHL debut last year in the final game of the regular season against Vancouver. And now we'll play game number 2 because, as you said, Nikolai Ehlers is out of the lineup. So shall we show the lines?
Yeah, one moment
first?
Before there, I just want to say, so Lambert's numbers, we know that the Moose it's been a tougher start for them. In 16 games with the Moose so far, 3 goals, 11 points. He's a -7. Lambert had an assist in that one game that he played last year. And so looking forward to the opportunity to be able to play at the center position for it. Question of the day first.
Okay, let's do that. Let's throw that up. It's, I know you're not surprised on this one, but
we didn't really go out on that much of a limb with this one.
You would not know the amount of time that we've sat there and struggled about what should we ask people today. So seriously though, what are your expectations of Brad Lambert this evening against the St. Louis Blues in his second NHL game in his Jets debut this year?
Yeah, we know that there's been a lot of anticipation from fans for the chance to see Lambert. We obviously, that was the hot topic throughout training camp and when the original roster was put out for starting game. And so we'll see what he has tonight. So let's take a look at what these lines are, because there have been some changes. Most notably, so all over, but most notably when you look at that top 6. Vladislav Nemesnikov centering that top line. Mark Scheifele moving over onto the wing. Obviously, he's had
Okay, I believe we're back.
Okay,
I believe
excellent.
so. Yeah, sorry about that.
A case of the Tuesdays.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, I like D-Mart says the show can't handle the lineup changes. So you're right. It was D-Mart. You're absolutely right. It overloaded the system. So hold on and bear with us. And thanks for hanging with us. First game back on home ice, and this is what we get out of the deal. So Sarah, we were just talking about the lineup changes. You know, Ville Heinola on playing the right side. Scott O'Neill said he was happy with what he saw Ville do.
Yep,
on that
and
side.
also that this was a pairing of Ville and Logan that they had talked about as coaching staff in the summer, and then also in training camp. But obviously, with the injuries to both players, that wasn't something that they were able to see. So we will have a look at them tonight. I do think with these lineup changes, especially in that top. Yeah. With that top six, that we will be seeing Adam Lowry's line relied upon a lot as well, which is really no surprise.
Yeah, bear with me while I'm loading in the clips from that we have a little
Okay.
bit earlier, so they will pop in quickly, and I got to bring them back out. So that's all part of the thing. So do we want to hear from Brad Lambert?
Let's hear from Brad Lambert.
While we have him in the show, here's Brad Lambert.
When the news came about Nikolai from the Friday night game, did you start to think that maybe there might be a chance for something to happen like did today?
Yeah, I think I was mostly just focused on the Moose games. You know, I didn't really know what happened. I heard that it was day to day, so you know, I really had no idea. So I'm pumped.
Yeah, I guess you would be. How much, if any, do you use the experience from last year against Vancouver to apply positively to tonight?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, it's nice to have one game under your belt, and you know, kind of that experience playing with Gabe again. It will be awesome. So you know, I'm just as excited as I was last year.
And are you happy that at least it looks like you're going to be in the middle?
Yeah, for sure. It's awesome. That's where I've been playing all year, so that's where I'm comfortable. And you know, two great line mates. You know, a great opportunity.
He's excited. He's excited. I like how he said, I've been focused mostly on playing with the Moose. So listen, with the Moose schedule, because I've been mainly playing on weekends a lot right now, really hard to get into a flow. So I found over the last few years, the Moose will play, they'll have a struggle in the first game, and they'll play, and they play back to back mostly against an opponent, and they'll play much better in the second game. So, I mean, to anybody that's down at the American Hockey League level, it's been a challenge for everybody down there because you just can't. It's not something like the NHL you're playing every other day. It's like you're practicing during the week and then back to action on the weekend.
And this will be an opportunity. Looking forward to seeing what Brad Lambert can do now as we get a look at him up playing the center ice position tonight on that second line. Scott O'Neill also was asked, but no surprise about the changes to his top six and the fact that Mark Scheifele is moving over onto the wing.
Mark to the wing, designed to ease some of the physical responsibilities and demands of playing center off of whatever he's suffering from right now, in addition to him not taking draws?
Yeah, it's sort of twofold. One, that there's some things he can't do, so he's limited in some areas, and then, you know, just felt that this road trip we had Gabe and taking a lot of face-offs. Gabe ended up playing a lot of defense. He ended up being a lot of times, if we want to draw in the offensive zone, his responsibility is to stay center over center. Defensively, center over center. He ended up being the guy low a lot, doing a lot more work, and just found that, you know, his bread and butter is being around the net front, getting to the net, getting out on the breakouts, getting pucks on the wings. You know, so a lot of those things weren't happening, and he spent a lot of energy just trying to kind of make sure he did all the right things without the puck, and which he did. He did a great job, and he's great on faceoffs. And now we did it in the third period there. Put Vladdy in between them, between Scheif and KC. I liked what I saw. Just, you know, it's more Lambert coming in. Just this kind of gives me a big body to play with Lambert, some for Gabe to get to the net and do what he does well. So a little bit of everything kind of playing into with our top six, kind of how we kind of worked it around.
Scott O'Neill on that. It was interesting to listen to Gabe Velarde too. We're not going to play the clip, but he talked about the wear and tear of playing center is because you have to get down so low and use a lot of strength to get the puck out of scrums. And as a taller guy, he said it was a lot of work, and he says hips were sore coming out of the weekend. So Gabe Velarde, though, will be there just in case. And he said he will be in Brad Lambert's ear quite often because he says as a younger player, he remember when you lose a faceoff, you lose another one, it starts getting in your head. He said, I'll be there for support, and certainly if he gets kicked out, I'll be there to take faceoffs. But nice to see Gabe Velarde taking, you know, a leadership role with a younger player coming to the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that then we'll hear from Neal Pionk in just a little bit. And that's one of the things that he had commented on as well with Brad coming into the lineup, the importance of communication and talking with young player, as well just with the changes that we've seen on their blue line. But we will hear from Neal in a moment. In just a few minutes, Jeremy Rutherford's going to join us from The Athletic again as we continue to set you up for tonight's game between the Blues and the Jets. This is the second game. I thought originally, I mean, I also thought it was Monday, so this probably shouldn't come as a surprise, but there was
We've
a
had
part
internet
of,
problems. We thought it was Monday.
yeah,
That camera wasn't working, so
we're just, that's,
the Jets can't go on the road this long ever again.
everything happens in
Yeah.
threes, so we're already done with it. But
Yeah.
one of the when I was looking at the game that they played earlier, I thought, oh, it was just a couple of weeks ago. That was back on October 22nd that they played each other. The Jets with the win, 3-2 Winnipeg win, and they've been able to have success over the Blues. Last season, they won all 3 meetings as well. St. Louis comes in tonight. This is the first of a 4-game road trip through Western Canada for them as well. They've been dealing with some injuries to their lineup that they've had to contend with too. But then again, we'll be sure to ask Jeremy about the fact that Jim Montgomery has taken over as coach and what that means for this Blues team.
Yeah, and Jordan Binnington recently became the all-time leader for wins in the St. Louis Blues organization. So that's a big moment for him. We'll ask Jeremy about that momentarily. Ready for Neal?
Well, and just quickly with Binnington that there'll be a lot of eyes on him because tomorrow, when the rosters are announced for the Four Nations
face off,
who will be in net for Canada? I think a lot of people expecting Jordan Binnington to be
one of the guys listed. For sure. Ready for your Neal Pionk?
Sure. Let's talk to Neal Pionk. For a couple of days, and it's only for one game, but how does it feel to be home?
Feels good. Feels nice to sleep in your own bed, do some laundry, and come home in front of the home fans.
What is the key for this group to be able to get back into the win column here tonight?
Do little things right. Just respond well. I think the last 2 games we've been playing pretty well, so we got to keep the momentum going and find a way to score a few more goals.
What was the biggest change in the last couple of games from your perspective?
I think just our detail and our work ethic. We're good with our sticks and good on our compete level.
A lot of changes, it seems, to the lineup potentially tonight, both up front, on the back end as well. What's the key to trying to become as cohesive as a group, maybe, and playing the same way as quickly as possible?
Got to welcome a guy like Lambert right away. Comes up from the Moose, so we know his talent level, his skill, his speed. So welcome him and next man up mentality.
So when you're welcoming young guy, I mean, he played one game with you guys last season, and it's not as if you don't know him, but what's the key as a vet?
Talk to him. Go up to him, chat with him about anything. Doesn't matter what it is. Make him feel welcome. Don't ignore him.
What is it like to be able to be back here? I mean, you guys have had such a strong home record. Or what is it keying in on early for you guys?
I think it's a start. First 5 minutes of the game, set the tone, get a few shots on net, and go from there.
Thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The Jets have had at home 9-1 so far this season. The one loss was that game against Toronto.
And Neal Pionk in the top 10 in scoring amongst defensemen in the NHL off to a tremendous start. I know, you're so used to the same defense partner, and they've been together all through training camp. They worked out together in the summer. So it must be a big adjustment for him to not have Dylan Sandberg aside him.
He has had such a bounce back season so far for Pionk, which has been great to see after last year. He's been playing with Hayden Fleury since Sandberg has had to go out.
All right, special guest time on the broadcast. He is a man that doesn't need an introduction, but we're going to introduce him anyways. He is Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic in St. Louis. Jeremy, how are you today?
Good. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Always good. Always good to have you. Always good to see what's going on. Not a lot going on with the St. Louis Blues these days, hey?
Yeah. I think it was last Sunday. I woke up about 8 o'clock in the morning, started to get the kids ready for church, and quickly found out I was going to be writing a story about a coaching change and getting on a flight later that night to New York to catch up with the team. So I guess that kind of gives you a picture of my life here recently.
Well, I was going to ask, how surprised were you, Jeremy, at the coaching change?
Well, not completely surprised, just because of it being well known what Doug Armstrong thought about Jim Montgomery. And he's a coach who was here as an assistant coach a couple years ago under Craig Berube, got the job in Boston. The Blues players, disappointed to lose Jim Montgomery at that time. And then things went very well for him, as we all know, in Boston. And so it didn't look like he was going to be available When he was fired by the Boston Bruins, I wrote a story just laying out the situation. Hey, Jim Montgomery is available. Doug Armstrong's really liked him in the past. I'm sure he'd like to bring him in, but they do have a coach in Drew Bannister. And how's this sticky situation going to play out? And we saw how it played out. So, I think in terms of the boldness, dismissing a coach who he just signed to a 2-year contract, you're in a retool, to make that move, I think did catch a lot of people off guard. But I think if you know Doug Armstrong and his affection for Jim Montgomery, it wasn't a complete surprise.
So this is kind of an unfair question because of the small sample size, but what is the biggest change you've seen in the Blues since the coaching change?
I think anything I say kind of comes out unfair to Drew Bannister, who worked his butt off in the minor leagues, 7 years with the Blues organization to get that chance, coached 50 some odd games last year as the interim, gets 2 years on the current deal. And then all of a sudden, Doug Armstrong comes out and says, hey, we found a better coach. Having said all that, what I think the biggest change has been listening to the players is that they are just ecstatic to come to the rink and play for Jim Montgomery. That's the number one thing. I think they probably looked at Drew Bannister as a coach who would be here short term, perhaps stopgap. And they know, and Doug Armstrong said it when he announced the hiring, they know that Jim Montgomery on a 5-year deal will be here not only through the retool, but when they get to that level where they feel like they're contenders again. So I think just kind of having that stability and knowing what the future is going to look like, and then knowing Jim Montgomery's track record, that really has players excited.
Well, Jeremy, we were saying that Jordan Binnington will obviously be a name that I think a lot of people are expecting to hear over the next couple of days, with the Four Nations rosters also being released on Wednesday. We know that a team goes as far as your goaltender, let's be honest, will take you a lot of the times. What's Binnington's season been like so far?
Yeah, he's been really good. And you guys are asking the question after one of the best saves he's ever made in his career, maybe one of the best games he's played in a long time. So, sometimes, I'm guilty of it too. When I look around the league and I look at players' stats and I say, well, he must not be having a good year. That's been the case a little bit with Jordan Binnington the past couple years, where, the save percentage was 9-10 last year, so not too shabby. But if you're watching the team night in and night out, he's the guy who, like you said, Sarah, keeps them in it. And to me, he's been fabulous. And I think he probably should be Canada's starting goalie at the Four Nations. He's played that well. Yeah, a couple hiccups this season, but all goalies have them, right? And, as you mentioned too, he just became the Blues all-time leader in wins, surpassing Mike Liut, so 152. I think he's been as good as we've seen him in St. Louis, with maybe the small exception of that Stanley Cup run.
And that was pretty good, actually. So it was and Jets fans will totally remember that opening round series against the Blues that year. Jeremy, appreciate the time. Great work as always on The Athletic, and looking forward to having you back on the show sometime soon.
Also, you have the coolest background. Jeremy.
Yes.
Yeah. I am loving
that's showing off, actually.
Yeah, you know what? During COVID, we had an unfinished basement, and I said, why not put a hockey rink down here? So
I love it.
Slow clap for that one. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks,
all the
guys.
best.
Thanks for having me. Yep.
Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic. Did you remodel your basement during COVID?
I didn't.
Oh, see,
No.
like so many people did some really cool stuff with their house. I did nothing.
Well, no, I did in the summer. Actually, I did some changes to the basement. Unfortunately, I haven't moved everything back from there. I tried to get everything done before the hockey season started because I knew that it would be busy. Wouldn't have time. And now
details.
I would walk around the corner and think, oh, I still haven't put all of this back yet. So
there it is. That stuff ain't going to move itself.
it's true.
Yeah.
Evidently.
Yes. You learned that
We
real
are
fast.
several months in. It isn't being moved. Maybe that'll be on the Christmas holiday.
Yeah, the C hockey rink in his basement. Now that is commitment. It
Yes,
certainly
I
is.
love it.
Unlike Sarah's commitment to making her house look the best way it possibly could. Neither here nor
Why no
there.
one's invited into the basement.
No, do not go down
Do
there.
not go down there with
Yeah.
the panic
Yeah.
for it.
You just need to get some police tape and put it across.
That's right.
Yes.
Just cross it
Yeah.
the whole way out.
Yeah.
No, it's
Okay.
just under construction. Anyways, Let's get back on topic now, JT.
Well, with the way the show's gone,
I know.
as well just do this.
Jeremy Rutherford, though, has been covering the Blues for so long, so
Mhm.
make sure to check out his work, The Athletic. This tonight being game 2 of 4 meetings between these two clubs.
Yeah, I always like these games. It just, you want to see, I think the Jets, with the way they played those final 2 games on that road trip, deserved a much better fate. Sure, there were some hiccups, the things they didn't like, letting up some offense off the rush, which is something that Scott O'Neill does not like. But you feel like he built enough off of that to go into this game tonight against St. Louis back in front of the home crowd. I remember how well they played against Florida when they came back from another long road trip. So you're hoping for more of the same when the Jets host the Blues here tonight.
Absolutely. Although, as we heard Neal Pionk say, I mean, it's nice to be back home, sleep in your own bed, but it's just that one game and then back out on the road for a few more in what feels like a never-ending road trip. As we continue on here, just over the last few minutes, want to point out again that the gear that Jamie and I are wearing today, lovely toque, jersey, hoodie, all part of the Winnipeg Jets Hockey Fights Cancer gear. That is the game tonight. It is the Hockey Fights Cancer game. So many of us have been touched by cancer one way or another. It's always a very emotional night here in the building. I am loving the different merchandise that they have as well to be able to show the support.
And again, this jersey is almost all gone.
Well, it's selling out. It's selling very quickly. So yeah,
see, I'm just trying to upsell it.
100%.
There's not many left. You better get
true.
them right now. So you better get to the rink early.
There aren't any left. It'll be a busy week for us. It's always a busy week for you when Ground Control comes out. The latest edition of Ground Control features.
It is Nino Niederreiter. So Nino. Because a lot of players like, obviously, other sports, but can't obviously take part of them because you don't want to get hurt in the off season. That's part of the deal. So Nino is part of this sport called paddle, which you put me on.
Yes.
And he's going to tell us what exactly that is as part of the podcast in our little visit.
Tell me a little bit about the sport that you've invested in heavily. And
paddle is it's basically an old sport out of Spain, which kind of just takes over Europe, and I think started coming over to the US. And it's a mix between racquetball and then pickleball, I would say, and it's and squash. So it's you use the walls, and there's just so many strategic things.
Well, why did you decide to invest in it so heavily?
And so it's actually funny. So the reason why I kind of invested is like there's a lot of I play a lot of badminton in the summertime as well. And there was always like a tennis court right next to me. And there was always some older people playing. They're like probably 60 plus, maybe even 70. And you could always tell in their facial expression that they're always like mad when they had to go back and bring the ball back and kind of do another rally. Yeah. So like, well, paddle will be perfect for them because there's like walls all around. Right. So when they miss a ball, they can literally just walk a few feet back at the ball and things would get easier. So I think it would be a great sport for older people as well.
Honestly, I quit. Seriously, I see everybody crank up the volume. I'm cranking up on the thing. I've got my laptop cranked up. It's not working. This show is a disaster. That's all it is. Hopefully the product on the ice is even 10% better than what we have provided here today, because I got a lot of questions.
Relax.
I'm not. See, I'm talking about how like I don't get mad about stuff, but this stuff, like technology, makes me so mad.
Oh.
My face is getting red now, so it's just like, oh my gosh.
Okay, you know what? I appreciate the conversations that continue to go on for people pointing out sometimes.
We need you for this stuff.
We absolutely
I thought it was loud enough.
I appreciate Dan Jets fan who said, "That's okay, Sarah. We still have unopened boxes since we moved into our house 21 years ago. Obviously, not stuff we need." You know what got me years ago into reading off a Kindle? Yeah. Was because my husband moved boxes of books so many times across the country that I wouldn't even unpack, but I couldn't get rid of. That he said that's a Kindle.
Since we are in a place right now, what's the one thing your husband had when you guys moved in together that you made him get rid of? I had like a Yoda poster, like with all the wisdom of Yoda up on the wall. Dad's like, that's out. I had to take it out.
Were you 16 when you two started dating?
You have no idea all the wisdom that Yoda gives you. Every day, do or do not. There is no try. See, is that not good right there?
For it.
This is why I am the way I am. Yoda.
I mean, how does one follow that up? I'm not sure. Yeah. 18-7 Jets taking on the 11-12 into St. Louis Blues. Blues are 2-0-1
Yeah.
since Jim Montgomery has taken over. Another Central Division battle. The Jets very focused on being able to get back into the win column. Quickly, as we wrap up here, you can tune into all the Winnipeg Jets channels to continue to get you ready for tonight's game with updated information as well. Is there?
Yeah, I think you covered everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you
Just
did a great
remember,
job.
lineup changes tonight. The
Yes.
question of the day was, what are you looking to see from Brad Lambert tonight?
Until our thing cut out.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he will center that second line. Undoubtedly, there will be a lot to discuss going forward from this game as well. Hopefully, the Jets are able to grab that 2 points. But also, when we set up the following game, when they go back out onto the road, there's a lot. There will be a lot to digest tonight.
Yeah,
regardless.
like free things afterwards the game, if the internet works. Hopefully that will go up at some point like that after the game. But there's a lot to digest with all the line changes. Billy Halen coming back in, playing the Blues. It's the last game before the Four Nation face-off. Roster announcement.
We'll have a lot of that to discuss, and we didn't actually discuss the world. We didn't discuss
Braden Yeager.
Braden Yeager
Going to the World Junior camp to see if he can play for Canada this upcoming World Juniors. Also was traded to the Lethbridge Hurricanes. We'll have more on that. Pete Anhold, the general manager of the Lethbridge Hurricanes, will be our guest on Thursday.
Oh, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
For it. Lots to talk about. December is always a very busy month, both in terms of international hockey with World Juniors, now with the Four Nations roster being released as well. And then there are no shortage of Winnipeg Jets games to take you through this month.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
We appreciate your patience, everyone.
Thank you for not mocking us too much.
They mocked a lot, but we appreciate it.
Well, I'm going to talk to my therapist after this. So thank you. I appreciate that.
We hope everyone has a fantastic day. Thanks for spending some of your day with us and for checking in.
Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm going to put on the music. Here we go.